Today we have Lynn does investing, Dylan, I'm 12, and as a special guest, Curtis from PE turned RE.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. On this week's episode, we're talking about should you follow your passion? Don't follow your passion. The argument's going to start. It's going to be fantastic.
How did this topic even come up? I think it's a great one, but I'm just curious.
So, a couple weeks ago on ORAT on Zuber's channel, they kept talking about people whether they should go into the trades and all that kind of stuff. And something happened when I was listening to a book at the same time that they were talking about like Zuber mentioned that Gen Z, and I've seen this as a millennial, or not Gen Z, he's what Gen X, but he was talking about how high schools and stuff pressure people to be like, find your passion in life, and you'll never work a day in your life. And my first thought was when I heard that, and this isn't the first time I heard it, but it's the first time I thought about it in this context, was that's funny because I grew up with a bunch of gearheads and stuff, and I've never seen a happy car mechanic in my life. Like they all hate their job, and now they don't even have a hobby. So you know, how's that one working out for them?
Mm,
And that's what
true.
inspired today's episode.
Mm, okay. Okay. W- Was that the only example that you had of folks that followed their passion and they didn't get very far?
No, I think it just really depends on the type of person individually. So and the type of field. I think if you're doing anything that's very labor intensive or that involves a lot of you know where you can slip and bust your knuckles or any of that kind of stuff that has just a bunch of repetitive annoyances. So like you're not going to see a ton of people, for example, in construction most of the time. Like that's just another field I could see where a lot of people aren't. They don't strive to be like, I'm going to go work on bridges my entire life and pour concrete,
Mm.
especially when it's 30 degrees outside. That sounds like a fantastic career choice. But like, there's pros and cons, and I'm not saying just that. Like, there's people, for example, on the other side that you know are more prestigious careers where they go into like nursing or just any field. I'm just gonna pick on nurses for a second, where they're like, nurses are great. We're gonna go into the nursing field, and they finally see what it's like after a year or two, and they're like, this is horrible. I have to get out of this. Like like it's great to help people, but at the same time, there's so much gloom and doom, and you get into the wrong like you get into the wrong department in a hospital, and to top everything off, you're now surrounded by death, and then it can sabotage you into the mindset of everything is death around you, and it can horribly impact you. And the nursing field is one of the highest fields. I just remembered this little fun fact. Nursing fields is outside of being in the armed forces is one of the highest fields that you can suffer from PTSD from some of the stuff that you can see.
Mm.
Yeah, my take on this is kind of funny because I'm a immigrant. I'm a first generation Latina, of course, and I don't know if you guys know much about immigrants, but we're not raised on do what makes you happy. We're raised of like survive first, dream later kind of thing. Yeah, like we know exactly that y your passion doesn't pay your rent. Like that's what we know. And if you see anything about immigrants, like the fields that we're pushed into are like doctors, lawyers, nurses, accountants, anything that's really secure and stable. We're not followed to be artists or anything of the like whatsoever. So to me, like follow your passion. That advice is very like Disney like
Mm-hmm.
of like that's what you dream about, but it's only for movies, only for like very highly special people. So my perspective comes from that area as well.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I can agree with that. There's, what is it, 24 times 7, so what, about 160 something hours in a week. If you work 40, you got another 120 something, take out sleeping, so take out another 40 hours. You have half of the week to do whatever your passion is. Go find something that actually makes money and do that.
Yeah, but I also think it's interesting that you said people work 40 hours, right? But
Uh-huh.
I feel like it actually takes more time. Like, even if that's what your scheduled work time is,
Yeah.
you have thinking about it, you have the commute to and from, you have to get prepared for it, right? Like, if you don't have a work from home job, right, you actually have to go in and get dressed, and then you have to decompress from it. So that 40 hours, I think, is actually more.
Yeah.
What if you house hack at your job? Okay,
I
if
have
it,
thought about this because the school has everything that I need. There's a shower, it has a kitchen, but at a certain time they set the alarm, so I'm not sure how I'd get around that.
like I know of a guy who he house hacked a place that didn't have a shower, so like that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, he sounds like a great guy. But I kind of thought this conversation was interesting because I work with kids, right? And so the oldest age group in my school is eighth graders, so they're like around 14ish, 13ish. And part of what I do during the first few days of class is just trying to get to know them, right? And knowing, hey, what are you interested in? What are your hobbies? I even ask them, like, what careers or jobs are interesting, right? Because if I can make the class content relative to what they're interested in, then I feel like I can get more participation, right? But it was very interesting to kind of read through the different jobs that they put and why they put it. Some were very practical, right? Like, one girl, she said, "Oh, I want to work in the medical field because I feel like I can work 3 or 4 days and then have 3 or 4 days off." I thought, wow, that's very well thought out for an eighth grader. Some people put like a bunch of jobs because they just want to get paid well, right? Or some put sports or YouTube. But I think what we're seeing, at least from the younger folks, is that they actually are seeing people do what they're passionate about and make money through social media. Or, like, when I was a kid and I would play video games, or friends would, right? Parents would always say, "Hey, you're never going to make money doing that. Why are you doing it?" Well, now people do make money playing the video games, so that argument's kind of gone. So I think it's very interesting the ways that people can monetize their interest now. With that said, though, I think there is a level of practicality to it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I just don't like. I'm more of Lynn's mindset where your first objective is survival. If you can make enough money to pay for everything, find something you're passionate about, start doing that thing. If you can make money with that, cool. Maybe you can transition to that in the future. Like the streamers, like I bet a lot of those guys find ways to do a job that works around the schedule so they can stream, so they can try to do that to get to a point where they can do it full time. Like I've seen guys that'll work, maybe they work the day shift and then they stream all night, or they're on seconds. So they stream all night, work the second shift, and then sleep during the day. There's ways to move things around. I'm not saying focus your full time around working, but find things that you can get paid for, and the more niche the skill, the more money that you can make from it, the less time you really have to dedicate to it. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah, and I think your passion can also change too, because typically people are passionate about something they're somewhat good at, right? I know very few people are like, "Oh, I just love this," but they're terrible. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure that does exist, right? But I don't think that's the norm. But I think the more things that you try, the more skill sets that you can gain. You might even find it a different passion. And if I had to go back and tell my younger self that, I'd be like, okay, just try more things to figure out what else are you good at besides that one thing.
Yeah, I think a kind of passion is a kind of tricky word too, because who really knows what your passion is at age 15, at age 18, at age 20? Really, like you're still trying to connect with yourself, but like when we think about like needs and what a human person needs, like we need food, we need shelter, we need relationships, we need like some sense of security and safety, right? And then when we have like those needs like tapped into, then we think about like self-actualization, like what do we actually want in life? Who do we want to become? And that changes too. Like not it's very rare that you find somebody that's like, oh, my passion is really, really uh playing the drums. And but that would that last for your whole life? Like that amount of passion that you have for this piece of like, I don't know, playing the guitar or playing the drums, that may change, right? So it's very hard to be like, oh, just follow your passion and you think that you will never work a day on your life. That is very broad and overgeneralized and not really doesn't have any type of objectives whatsoever.
I think the thing is too, like you can go ahead and have your passions and you can do your passions for a living, but like it shouldn't be your primary, at least in the beginning. Like you can like I'm going to use Lena as an example. She started off as a nurse, correct? And correct me if I'm wrong. You started off as a nurse. You had your primary objectives. You got all that stuff, but now you're switching more. And now you're then you start investing, and you're building up a real estate empire called the Death Star, and you're slowly switching gears to where you're starting this business as more of a passion because you have your primary objectives already taken care of.
Hmm.
Mm.
Yeah, I definitely. I started medicine. Medicine is something I was always interested in, and it was doctor, nurse, then ended up being a nurse, and then I truly enjoyed nursing for a long time. And then COVID happened, and then that all changed, right? Like that, and I was like, okay, I can't be a nurse forever. Let me find something else. And through that, but through the security that like a 9 to 5 gave me, like a nursing job gave me, I was like, okay, what else can I do with my life, even if I don't have this career? Like that happens to people. People get, sick physically or mentally, and then they have to pivot. And that's also the reality, something that may happen to you. But if you subject yourself into a financial position, then you not depend on one job as well. But you're allowed to do your passion. I feel like I'm more passionate about real estate than my current job too, but that's okay. I don't see that I have to pick. Like I don't have to pick my passion over. It just so happens my passion also produces money, but uh, I don't have to pick one or over the other at this point.
I think this question, I think this statement is interesting. When your passion becomes your source of income, it never really feels like work. Do y'all relate to that?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. I could agree. Maybe I just don't do things that I'm like incredibly passionate about, I guess. But like for example, when I started school, I went in as exploratory because I was purely interested in math, in like the application of math to investing, finance, all that stuff. Like from high school, I just knew that that's what I wanted to do. Ended up talking to a computer science professor, which talked me into switching my major from exploratory like slash math to you can still get a math minor if you just take computer science courses, and a lot of it's math centric anyways. So it just happened to be that I've found, at least for me, when I stray super far away from programming or things investment related, I don't have a fun time doing it. And now I can do a lot of these things. Like I've done copywriting in the past. I can do that. I do construction. I can do that. No problem. And I can do construction on the weekends. But when I'm doing computer programming or focusing on investing during the week, I can spend a lot of time doing that and really not feel like I'm working a ton. Now it's mentally exhausting, but at least it's not, something where I'm, messing up my knees and all that stuff because I feel that on the weekends.
I think this is an interesting one because a lot of people, for example, in the teaching world, are passionate about helping and being part of the community, helping kids. But ask any of your teacher friends if it feels like work. Right? They're all going to say yes. Right? We're seeing a mass exodus of teachers nationwide. There's a shortage. Right? So I think there's a blend of things. Right? I'd say I'm probably more passionate about coaching sports than I am with like teaching. But even when it comes to sports, there's still moments where it definitely feels like work, even though I'm very passionate about it, very passionate about the people that I get to work with. I think it still feels like work.
So here's a question, Curtis.
Mhm.
Like there's some teachers that are good and there's some teachers that are bad. But let's just talk about the teachers that are good, okay?
Mhm.
Do you see people that are leaving the teaching field because it's too much work and deciding to then go teach something else that's more of their passion? So I don't know. Like the only thing I can think of off the top of my head is, and there's no money in this obviously, but like they're already set, they're getting that they're taken care of. They're like, you know what, I don't need the headache. Let me go do teaching, kids, archery skills, or something else, just something with sports, something with just completely different, and that way they're out of like the control of like the public school or some type of school system, and they still get to follow their passion of teaching as well as their passion in like a hobby that they really enjoy as well.
Yeah, I'll start with I'm seeing some good teachers go to, they still want to be in the education realm, but they're moving to more instructional design. It could be for like companies that make online courses, folks that are homeschooled, because we are seeing a rise in homeschool kids. Or maybe they go work for educational companies that do work for colleges. So they're still staying in the educational realm. It's just they're doing it in a different model. Although a lot of teachers are kind of caught in this middle realm where they're kind of done with teaching, and they're great teachers, but they're kind of just like they're ready to be done, but they can't retire. They can't get the retirement yet,
Hmm.
and so they're not like, they know that they will be set, but there's this time gap where they have to make some money. And I talk to a lot of teachers that don't know what to transition to, just for the 5-10 years that they have to wait until they can actually cash in on their pension plan. And to me, that is always a conversation, because they're 45-ish and they're just like waiting it out. They're fantastic teachers, but they're just burnt out. And for those people, I feel really bad, because it's like, okay, you've been pouring your passion into this for 20 years. And now that you're kind of done, right? What can these people do to still earn an income until they can collect the pension? And I think that's really the more important question for that group.
Hmm. I was thinking it was an issue with students actually like caring about a lot of the classes. Now I'm sure PE is a lot easier. Everybody has fun with PE. Not saying it's an easier
Yeah.
position, but I feel like people enjoy it a little bit more often. But with a lot of classes, like I hated school, just full transparency, until I got to college and I got to pick to just do math and just do programming. But when I had to take social studies and English and stuff like that, I just couldn't care less. So I
Yeah.
would sleep during the class and then I would do the work and then, hand it in. And I feel like a lot of teachers, like if they're putting everything into trying to teach that subject, and a lot of the students just do not care at all, I would feel like I'm wasting my time standing up there trying to teach people something that they don't want to learn.
Yeah, it's very apathetic. That is what we are seeing.
Yeah.
Definitely in the middle school age too. At high school, it's a little bit easier, because if they don't want to be there, they don't show up because they can drive themselves, right? But at the middle school, they kind of have to be there. But you are right. A lot of it comes from kind of a lack of caring from the student side, so it's harder to be involved. But what I'm trying to get the teachers and what myself is hey, if you can just build a relationship with the kid and talk about stuff outside of school, they may turn in no work. Like I had a kid last trimester. He finished the trimester with a 0.2 in my class.
That's actually pretty impressive.
Right? Like he turned in one assignment the whole trimester. That's how he got the 0.2. But
The
our
commitment
relationship,
to not doing any work.
yeah, he was doing no work, but our relationship was good, and he still comes back and he still talks to me, and I know what he wants to kind of do in the future. And so to me, I think that's the real value. Did he learn anything from my class? I think so, because we talk about stuff, but did he actually show that he knows it? No, but it's also like the middle school, right? Like no one checks your 8th grade transcript.
So, are you seeing a lot of people leave though? For what I had mentioned, like just like, okay, nobody cares. I'm just gonna go. Like, I'm doing English. I can just go work as a copywriter at XYZ instead. Like,
Yeah, I am seeing some people leave, but I think you'd be surprised, at least with the teachers that I've interacted with.
Mhm.
They feel like they're sometimes stuck.
Really?
Why is
Yeah,
that?
they feel like they're stuck where they're at because here in Washington, our pay is actually pretty good,
Mhm.
and we get a lot of time off. And so for them to go start what they think is a new career, even though they have a lot of the same skill set, but for them in their head it's a new career, it'd feel like a step back. They'd either make less money, they'd have
Mhm.
less time off. So while they're not super happy with where they're at, they kind of feel like they're stuck because it's almost like I wouldn't say golden handcuffs, but bronze handcuffs because of the pay
Bronze.
and the time off. Like and for some of them they're just kind of just feeling that stuck. Yeah.
Mm. That makes sense. I feel like there's a few of them that I could see being difficult to transfer over to other things, but like your math and your physics professors or the CS professors or anything like in the sciences in general, like I feel like that's very transferable over to something else. Chemistry.
Yeah.
Um, I don't
I
know what you do with English, but full transparency.
I I would think so too. But I think it's the pay and the time off that really
Mm.
get people to like at least the position and the role that they're in. Um, yeah, that's come up a lot because I had this conversation at least once a week with somebody.
Yeah, I think teaching is a great job. I mean, like every job has its benefits and like cons, right? But like summers off, holidays off, and then the majority of you guys have like access to a 457B, so you can do like match up to 401k and plus an additional 23,000, something like that. I think. So they're like pension, obviously, and insurance and all of that. So there's great benefits, and I think that's what the point it is. Is like you could do teaching and something else if that's what your passion is, and that's what you're doing, right? Curtis, you're like house hacking, and you're positioning yourself. When you're 30, you probably don't have to teach if you don't want to.
Yeah, I always tell people the end goal for me is just investor role and coaching role, where I'm still involved in the community, I'm still interfacing with the youth, but I just don't have to teach, right? And what's so interesting is at the school I could have the same kid in my class and then the same kid out at practice and completely different interactions because one they have to be there, one they choose to be.
Mm,
Interesting. Well, you could be like, well, if you don't turn in this assignment, somebody's going to be doing laps.
Yeah. Once they figure out that I'm the coach for multiple sports, they start to kind of turn it around or at least act like they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, you know. But yeah, that's always a fun conversation. Like, hey man, is it tryouts like next week? And they're like, oh yeah, and then they start doing their work.
No, that's awesome. But from just the conversation around people doing what they're passionate about, I feel like what I see that worries me a little bit when people do fall into that is they'll pick things that, yes, they may be passionate about it, but it's not things that are like when I think of find something you're passionate about, find a skill that other people like that is in demand that you can be passionate about. Not just find anything you think is interesting to you. Like you may like Greek mythology and Roman history and stuff like that, but the only applicable thing you can do that with is either one, you can teach history, or you can go get your PhD in it and you can be a professor of Roman history or something like that. I had a Roman history professor. He complained about it all the time. He was like, "Yeah, I was dumb enough to get the 4 year, so I got the 12, and then now I teach it."
Nice. And you know what's so interesting is that teachers, at least in our area, actually typically make more than college professors.
Wow,
Really?
Yeah, and it's not even close.
that's insane. Really?
Because I actually looked into it when I got my master's. I said, "Oh well, now I can teach either a level 4 year course, or I can be a professor at community college. Both where students would be opting in to take my class, probably a better experience. Well, I'd be taking a huge pay cut if that was in the case.
So
Wow.
I got a question, and I meant to ask you this before, Curtis. A little bit off topic, but on topic. So when I was going to school, and I don't even know if it's this way now, I would assume so. They would have teachers that worked with colleges at the same time, so that they could offer college level classes in high school. Is that something that they still do?
Yeah, so what's really cool, at least in our area, I can't speak for every state here, but at least in our area, we still do have the dual enrollment in the high school, and then we also allow students to go to the community college free of charge. All they have to pay for is their books. And I actually took advantage of that program when I was in high school. We called it a running start. But basically, instead of going to high school, you'd go to community college your junior and senior year, and you'd graduate with a degree
We have
and your high school diploma.
we have here the same thing, and our first 2 years of community college are free in California.
Wow. Yeah. So I think more students should take advantage of that. And the nice thing is that it's not just like your AA in math or, an associate's in a general thing. They're also allowed to go to like the trade schools that are in our area too, which I think more students should be taking advantage of. Had I known what tradesmen can actually make, maybe I would have gone down that path. But I feel like, at least back then, it wasn't really talked about. Like, I didn't realize how much a plumber or electrician or any of those trades could actually make.
Yeah, when I was going to school, which we're the same age, so I mean, same thing. I felt like people always would talk down about doing plumbing, being an electrician, carpenter, whatever. And now I look at those, since I've been doing a lot of that stuff, and I'm like, man, these guys, because I'm friends with a lot of people that are in that now, and they'll tell me what their businesses do, and I'm like, man, these are some stupid numbers, especially those HVAC guys. If you have the certifications to go do residential HVAC, those companies are always busy and they always print, in my opinion, at least. But I think we should have more people doing that or finding ways to find the students in high school or earlier that aren't built for being in school. And if they don't want to be there, get them moved over to something else that would be more interesting to them, like teaching them plumbing, welding, whatever, something that they would enjoy doing. Because I just don't think everybody is built for that.
Yeah, that's one thing I kind of wish I would have done is learn electric or become a electrician, because it would have went hand in hand greatly with what I do now, and would have just made it so much easier. Where the degree I ended up going for, yeah, it's engineering, and I used to run wires and wire MRI and CT machines in hospitals and stuff because of my degree. That's great and all, but I'm not allowed to actually touch residential stuff.
Mm.
So it's yeah, I understand it, but like I can't legally touch it. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like I could have went much further with the being in the trades with the electrical.
My boyfriend's an electrical engineer, and I always tell him he should get his electrician license, so he can be more of use to me. You don't have to use your degree; just become an electrician. Work for me.
Yeah, I'll send you out to Gary.
I know.
Oh wow. So what do y'all think of this? At least in my area, there's a good chunk of people that come from like low income, not great households, right? And so as soon as they are of age to work, they have to go start to work, right? Be it Taco Bell, McDonald's, right? They got to figure it out. So what do you think of the idea of that? Since they have to work at such a young age, and they don't have the chance to find their passion.
I think actually thinking about that, that's kind of the situation I was thrown in because I literally had to start working when I was 12 to help my parents out. My dad lost his job, and I had to take a year out off during high school because my dad lost his job again, and my mom was just working a couple like part-time jobs to try and make ends meet. But yeah, I never really had a chance to really figure out what I wanted to do with my life. So that's why in the middle of college, I ended up switching careers from what was it? What was it? I can't even remember what the first degree I was going for was to biomedical engineering technology, which I graduated with. But like I felt like if I would have had a chance to actually sit and focus, I probably would have did like I said before, just went for the trade, skipped all the college, got the electrician's degree. I would have been a master electrician by now. I mean, it'd be kind of hard not to being in the field for 20 years, and I would have been sitting in a much better position. But yeah, I think you're too busy in the survival to even really fathom that question or the possibilities.
Mhm.
I agree. The same for me. I immigrated here when I was 16, and I've been working ever since. I never not had a job. And so when I was going to college, it was about paying the bills, paying my car, paying my rent, paying my gas, and you don't look up to dream, right? You just kind of like go through the motions, and they get until you get to a safe, stable position, and you work whatever Ross, like food service, you whatever retail store that you can get, until you meet that goal, and then you basically when you get like a reliable, stable job, you're like, okay, well, now I made it. Like, that's what I was supposed to be doing. And then you think about like what I actually like, what do I actually enjoy doing.
Yeah, it's definitely a longer process if you don't have everything kind of. I mean, I would say there's a lot of people that are in that middle ground where they do have the parents and such that they can just stay at home and go to college. Now, if you don't have that, I know plenty of people that grew up in those situations where it just took them longer to get there because they did have to focus on survival first, but they ultimately found what they wanted to do. Yes, they may have been going to college in their late 20s, early 30s, but they ended up figuring out what they wanted to do at the end of the day. Um, I guess that's some of the people I know, though. I'm sure there's plenty of people that they just started working at a factory and they've been at that factory since they started, since they were in school or whenever they had to start working. Just never able to change from that. But yeah, I mean, I think that's why it's helpful, though, that we do put a lot of stuff out there. And then a lot of the other YouTubers that, I mean, not just us, but like, the big people that like Graham Stephan and so on that put out finance content. I would say a lot of his older stuff. I listen to some of the new stuff, but I think the older stuff is a lot more helpful. When he was in his early 20s, 26, I guess it's not early 20s, 26 or so. I just think of that because that's where I'm at now. I think that stuff is helpful
I
because
definitely agree with that. And Graham has also kind of switched more from. I forget what video it was. It was a video a while back, but he said that he was kind of getting burned out on doing those videos because he felt like he just was becoming a broken record in a lot of sense.
That's why I said the older
And
content.
with the older content, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why he kind of started chasing his passion and stuff, and just doing interviews with different people. So he's earned the right. Like, he's done the base work to build up a foundation where he can go pursue more of his passion.
Yeah. Jay says no degree required to become a real estate investor.
Just money. That's all
Yeah.
you need.
And education.
Well, I don't know if you watch Pace Morbius stuff. You don't need none of that.
Oh, geez.
You don't need no money, no education, no job. Get it today.
Get it today. Just call some people. You know.
Just pay $9.99.99, and I'll teach you how.
Exactly.
I think I just recently watched a video. Somebody did an expose on Section 8 Kareem. I think this is a big guru, Section 8 promoting, and Tom Cruise. They both just capitalize on like renting, basically buying property ready, rent ready, and then do everything to Section 8, like whatsoever, and then call them out and say like on a video saying like, we don't know like if you really own properties, you're just selling these courses, right? And I guess they had like a whole interview between each other, and then it turned out that he does own some properties, but the majority are with partners. So he owns properties with like 20 partners, and then he's selling all of these like allegedly. I don't know. Like, it could be. I didn't see any documents, so I don't know. Like, allegedly, he owns all of these things with partners, and then it's the people that like show the Lamborghinis and the helicopters and all the luxury things that they got by investing in real estate and selling courses. But I should send you guys that video.
Yeah. I believe it.
Yeah.
I believe it because every time I've like seen those people that sell courses, I feel like there's very few of them that actually like do what they talk about to the degree that how they talk about it makes it sound like they make most of their money from courses. Now, I get, as somebody who used to be in the education space, like education, consulting, stuff like that, I get how, because it's easier to sell something to 100 people over buying like 20, 30 properties. Like, that's much more complicated. And if the same video goes out to 1,000 people or 10,000 people, it doesn't matter. You just make more money, but you don't have to do more work for that. So I get how it happens. I just think a lot of them stop doing the thing that they're teaching as much and just focus on selling more of the courses because that's what makes them money. When, I don't know, I think you should generally try to focus on the thing, and if you sell some courses or do some education, like that can be part of it, but making it the main thing, like having 3 rentals and then selling a course on rentals, is ridiculous.
Oh, come on, Dylan. I was starting my house hacking course. Come on, man.
I think it's hard to like be an investor, an active investor, and do all the things you're saying you're doing, like constantly buying and growing your real estate empire and doing the education at the same time. It's like really weird if you're selling a course like every week, let's say, like holding a free workshop or whatever. It's really hard to do that and then do the actual investing, that actively be investing in closing deals. I think that's why Jason, one of Michael Super's friends, he stepped away from mentorship because it was taking so much time away from him. The return on that is like not great compared to what he could do by like developing his land deals and all those things. So he also had like a great like course mentorship kind of program, and he's like, no, I need to like actually work on my business and put time there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one reason I actually chose the brokerage that I did choose, is because my designated broker, one that trains us, he meets with us every Thursday, and he coaches us, but he only really gets paid if we do well. So his success is directly tied to mine. So that's kind of why I chose it too.
You see Yasik's comment?
Yasik. Oh, I love it. I think I'm going to screenshot that.
No, that's good.
That's a good hook, though.
All right, Dylan, I need you to market it, okay?
Yeah, we're gonna figure something out. We're gonna do a course. It's gonna be $1.99.
There it is.
Basically free for y'all. No, I do think I was listening to something Dion said on I believe it was a live stream he was on with all the guys, and he had mentioned the first property. A lot of people expect it to be life changing. You shouldn't expect that. But what I said as a comment on the video is the first property, cash flow wise, won't be life changing. But if your first property is a house hack, the savings can be. Because if you go from spending $1,500 a month on a rent payment to, let's say you have that same mortgage, but then you got a duplex unit rented out for 12 on the other side. Well, that's a substantial difference in your net income at the end of the day. Even if you have some maintenance stuff, you should probably be taking care of that. So that'll be cheaper for you at the start, just save the money so you don't have to like pay all these other maintenance people to do stuff for you. But if you look at that, it's a $1,200 a month swing in your savings. For a lot of people, that's a large portion of what they make. Like if you just look at the averages as far as incomes go. So maybe not in the Pacific Northwest or LA, but here, somebody making $50,000, $60,000 a year, if they suddenly have an extra $1,200 a month, that's a big difference. Because what is your $60,000 a year? Well, after taxes, it's probably like what, 48? So now we're talking about having 25% more money at the end of the month.
Yeah, that is really something. And even if it's not cash flowing crazy or the numbers are tighter because you're in LA or it's like Seattle area. Part of my homework assignment with the seller that I'm working with at the moment is I had to create a personal financial statement, which I had never done before. And so I had to do some homework to figure out what goes in what box and stuff. But it's just crazy how even though the cash flow may or may not be good on a certain property, you just owning it for a period of time and you're like, oh, wow, okay, there's the value.
Oh, I was reading Yasik's comment, but yeah, no, it's crazy to see how much equity you gain in things like, and you and I have not been investing for a very long time period, but I feel like the equity gains have been pretty crazy just in the past 2 years. A lot of that through value add. I'm sure you see the same thing when you look at your personal financial statement. You're like, wow, I guess that's what that's worth. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I had to double check it before I sent it off to Bill, but
You're like, that was another zero that I was thinking about.
Yeah, there's a comma in there.
Yeah, on paper we look great, but then why do we feel so broke?
Well, Lynn, I am broke, and I'm going to make sure my family hears that because Christmas is coming up, and they're asking me, and I'm telling them I'm poor, but they don't believe me.
Oh, we're doing Secret Santa only. So I started that 2 years ago. I was like, no, this is ridiculous, guys. I have a huge family, so we're not.
Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah, we do the same thing with $100 limit. Where like everybody gets one thing. We'll all get the parents something, but there's like 10 of us. So I'm like, I'm not buying 10 of you gifts for $100. I'm buying one of you a gift for $100. Everybody buy each other else something, and we just pick everybody's names.
Only the children get gifts, which we don't have one. So
yeah, I think we include them. So it's like the youngest ones, and then the parents, and then all the kids just get one thing.
Yeah, that's what we do.
Dylan, did you say 10? Are you like Mormon or something? Or what's going on over there?
No, I'd actually have to do the math. I think there's 8 plus the parents. It's multiple different families just together.
Gotcha.
So it's the Brady Bunch.
Basically, yeah.
Nice.
All half related to everybody, you know what I mean? Doesn't take long.
That's nice. No present for holidays or birthdays in my house. We travel instead. Jessica.
Oh, that is nice.
Do you, Jessica? Do you go for the holiday itself, or is it something in the future?
Yeah, because the holiday prices to travel are like up there.
He was
I hear there's a
recently
great place called Pittsburgh. It's great at the holiday season.
You can't go anywhere in the snow.
Sure, you can. You just just tie a inner tube to the back of your 4-wheel drive, and it's a tuber's dream. See the bridges in style.
Mm. Jack, do you guys like go sledding there? Because I know Pittsburgh's a shockingly hilly place. So do you ever sled?
Sometimes. The problem is you can't actually do a whole lot of it in the city of Pittsburgh.
Mm.
You have to go out to like the suburbs, kind of like where I grew up from, because in the city the hills can be so steep that you can't get stopped before hitting the road.
Mm. Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of an important part.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Yeah. Our family decided that we're gonna do a smaller Christmas, but they're still talking about gifts. I don't know why, but we're kind of doing the travel thing too, but not until June. We're going on a cruise.
Mm.
Nice.
I saw that Trade Bear said, "Yeah, I forgot to say that I took the Home Depot Path to Program. Oh, sorry, something else. Path to Pro program and going to talk to a local plumber. Yeah, I actually saw that Home Depot came out with that. My dad was talking about it. He's a HVAC contractor. Well, not a contractor. He works at a really big company that does HVAC around here in Indy. They build a lot of the steel buildings and stuff like that, and he does the HVAC, manages a lot of that. But he was talking about that because he was saying that's all they're doing is like teaching people these trades, and they're like, come buy some more stuff at Home Depot. But it was like it's pretty cool though to see them actually teaching people stuff, because when he was younger, like around my age, it was not like it was still like when I was going to school where people were like, oh yeah, you shouldn't do the trades, like that's a loser job to go do. And like that's what he's done for like 20 something years, and he's like, now everybody says it's cool. I don't get it.
So this is just a side thought. I didn't know Home Depot was doing something like that, but so one of the biggest complaints about those types of stores is they have too many people that are working there that haven't worked in the trades and don't know how to do stuff. Well, think about in like 20 years or so, these people that go through this, and Home Depot offered them to learn a skill and stuff, and they're getting towards retirement. They don't really want to work at the trades. They just want a little part-time job just to stay busy and stuff. Guess where they're going to want to go work? So Home Depot is actually building up a clientele to come work in their store and have people in the trades to give advice on how to do projects to DIYers.
Oh, Martin Property said, as an employee of Home Depot, they let us learn while getting paid. I will say with Home Depot, if you're looking for the experienced people, you got to go ask the old dudes stuff. You can't ask any of the young kids things. Have you seen that thing where somebody walked into Home Depot and they're like, yeah, I'm really trying to find a left-handed hammer. And he had like 5 of the employees like really confused. They're all like in their teens. They're like, we can't find this anywhere.
I tried this on someone, and it turned out the guy was a handyman. But I said, I walked in, I was like, I need a Swedish metric nut lathe. He's like crescent wrenches are over on aisle whatever.
Yeah, I actually had lunch with Josh. He's Martin Properties yesterday with Paul. He's a house hacker in Ohio, but they both ran the marathon. If you want to see Martin Properties dressed like the Grinch while he did his marathon, you got to check out my Instagram.
They're knowledgeable, Yasik. That's what it is. They know what's going on. Usually, at least the people that I've ran into at my local Home Depot, it's always their previous plumber, previous electrician. They used to be a developer, and they're like, yeah, I just wanted some extra money, so they just go hang out at Home Depot for like 4 hours a day or something like that. They're all like in their 60s and 70s.
Yeah, there's this lady at Lowe's, which I don't know how y'all feel about Lowe's versus Home Depot, but
Like them both.
there's this lady at Lowe's. She's like a cashier or something, but she owns a roofing company. So during the summer, she does that, and then during the winter, when it's slow here because it's raining, then she goes and works at Lowe's.
It's nice. Do you in the Pacific Northwest? Do you have a lot of people that switch over to snow removal in the wintertime? Because I know that's something that we have here. Like our landscaping companies will also have like plows and everything like that, and they'll like have salt trucks and stuff too to switch between the two businesses.
So I'm in Western Washington. We don't get a whole lot of snow over here. If you went across the mountains, like Yakima, Spokane, Tri-City, and Moses Lake, they may make that switch just because they get more snow on that side of the state. I'm actually set to have lunch with a guy. Sorry, not lunch. A meeting next week. He has a snowplow business, but his big business in Seattle is they do snow plowing if necessary, but they do a lot of de-icing because it rains so much, and then if it freezes, they have to go out there and de-ice it, and so that's one of his big businesses. And so, well, once I hear more about how that works, I will let you know. For the time being, I'm the de-icer.
Isn't that pretty much just running a salt truck if they're doing de-icing?
Yeah, though I think he also does it like at the apartments, and so I'm not sure like how he sends his guys out. Do they do all the staircases, or I'm intrigued to figure out how he maps it out.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I have a local guy that I just text whenever it snows, and I'm like, hey, can you go plow all the snow in the parking lot, because I'm not about to shovel all that for the apartments. Like, dude, just hit that with your truck twice. Here's $60. It took you like less than 5 minutes.
Do you pay a fee each time? Oh, it's okay. So with this guy, the way his business model is, we talked about it a little bit, was that like a networking event, so it's pretty quick. What his business model works is that you pay him it's an upfront fee, and then if he has to come do snow, then you already have him on retainer. If it never snows, well, and maybe next year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I think to tie this back into our main topic, I don't think anybody that does that business is passionate about snow and snow removal. They do it because it makes money to go do other things or to enjoy, just like not having to do something else.
Yeah, I fully agree. There are some jobs I'm like, you cannot find this interesting, but they make enough money that they can enjoy the other parts of life. So, for example, there's a coach that coaches at my school, but he's also a plumber. Shout out Bowers Plumbing Company. But he rolls up to practice sometimes in his green Lambo, bright green Lambo. And the first time he did it, we were all like, whose car is this? And then when coach got out, he's this big, bald dude, like ginormous, and he gets out, and we're all like, oh, that's Joe's, that's Coach Joe's. And the kids were all talking about it. They're like, what do you do, and he's like, I'm a plumber. And just can kind of see that eye opening is, I don't think he's very passionate about plumbing, right? Who cares about pipes? But it provides a lifestyle that he can really enjoy.
Yeah, I will say, of all the trades, I thoroughly hate doing anything plumbing centric. Like, I'm using PEX and everything like that, so it's not like that complicated to do, but I hate doing it. I will wire stuff all day long, but I am not doing plumbing.
I think
Like,
some people that say because there's a problem solved when you're working with your hands, kind of like gardening. So there's a sense of accomplishment when you figure out something that's like a problem. And then so when you're working with your hands, it also becomes physical, it also becomes endorphobic. You get this like sense of accomplishment that it's enjoyable. And some people do actually enjoy plumbing.
No, I get that. That's why I like electrical or like doing construction stuff in general. But plumbing specifically, I feel like it's just complicated enough for me to not want to touch it. Like, I will swap out a water heater, cut the pipes and then just put in the new one. Bam, done. But I'm not like running lines or anything like that because I don't know thermodynamics enough to know how to put all that stuff together properly. But I can replace a light fixture or, run an outlet for a dishwasher or something like that.
I redid one of my bathrooms here, so I installed like a toilet and vanity and everything like that, and I thought it was pretty cool. But I'm not gonna do it again. That's
Yeah. No, I get it. I did all of my stuff on my first rental, like the first two units that I redid. I just don't like doing it in the other building that we have because one I have a partner on that one. Two, it's 3 stories. So if I mess up something on the third story that's plumbing related, it's really really bad.
Oh, geez.
the thing I do hate is mudding though. Drywall, anything drywall, mudding. Oh, I'm horrible.
Yeah.
See, I used to do auto body work as a side job, and doing the fab work and mudding and sanding all that stuff. It's surprisingly very relatable to drywall, but it's different at the same time. So for me, doing drywall isn't horrible. It's not the worst thing. I wouldn't want to do, like, for example, I don't know, like I wouldn't want to do, since I don't do it on a regular basis. I wouldn't want to do like an upstairs attic where you have like all the angles and all that kind of stuff. I would rather leave that for professionals. But like to just do like your standard room that's square or
Mhm.
semi-square, that's okay.
Trade Better got a question for me. He says, "Are there any up and coming areas in Washington outside of Seattle?" Yeah, I mean, you obviously have like the big areas, right? Seattle, Tacoma, like Olympia. But if you're trying to get outside of those, right? Because oftentimes within those bigger areas, there's a lot of laws that you may not want to partake in. I know Cody's been talking a lot about Moses Lake. There's a lot of stuff that's going on out there. The area that I'm currently trying to buy in is Centralia. It is the midway point between Seattle and Portland. It's exactly about an hour and a half drives. Yeah, it's actually about an hour drive from each. It's right in the middle. Prices are still low, but they're building. They just put in a Winco. They just there's outlet malls. There's antiques. They're building this huge warehouse for Amazon. They're about to build a strip mall. So, but the only reason that I knew all this is because I went down there for like a meetup, and then I started just talking to locals, like, "Hey, what's being built there? Hey, I see this fence. What are they doing, right?" And so you may not see it posted on social media or anything like that, but just talking to the locals, I think Centralia is really about to explode. It probably won't be the next Seattle, but it's definitely going to be a larger. It might go from a tertiary market to like a secondary one.
Are you looking to house hack there? Is that what you're?
The house hack might be a little far because of the drive. I could intend to make the drive work. Because it's about 40 minutes to my work, and so there's people that commute that far. I asked my lender, and he said as long as it's within an hour, that's reasonable. So we can make that an intent. But no, I told Dylan on this on our video, which will come out tomorrow, that I'm looking at a 20 unit portfolio there. So
Ooh.
He's upgrading.
we shall see. I kind of like having my shower in my kitchen. I don't know if I can do any more extreme house hacks.
I will say, if
You're
he
spoiled now.
Spoiled.
if he seller finances this to you, you could technically house hack one of the units.
I could. I could. I prefer my 20-minute commute compared to a 40. But if that's something that I had to do just to kind of get the ball rolling, I would make it work.
I think in California, if you have more than like 12 or 16 units, I forgot the number, you have to have an on-site manager.
Luckily, they're not all on the same parcel,
Oh, okay.
so we could kind of
Yeah.
go around.
What if you poured an RV pad and you lived in an RV?
Now, Jack, you got to remember, I'm a little taller. If I can fit in this RV, I'm down. I just haven't seen a cheap one that I can comfortably fit in.
What if you find one with a blown up motor, but everything else is good? Because you still have your car.
Oh, yeah. Get a Tesla. It will drive you. I like that idea.
You could nap on the way to work.
Oh, my dream.
See that Martin Property said he's going to remove a toilet and install flooring and put it back in. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's ever super difficult. It's just, yeah, it's frustrating sometimes, especially when you're holding the toilet. Like they're pretty heavy, and you're trying to set it down on the bolts.
But that's why we train. Just kidding.
That's why we lift.
Oh, man.
See that Yasik said, I like all of the jobs, especially watching the professionals doing it. Yeah, see, that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm like, hey, I don't know, that painting looks really good from here. But anybody else got any deals cooking up? I know, Curtis, you have that exciting one that I'm looking forward to hearing more about. But
We'll see how that goes. I'm one of 3 candidates. He had us all turn in a personal financial statement, and then he gave us notes based on what ChatGPT said for us to update or add clarification on. And he emailed us the exact ChatGPT notes too, which I thought was kind of funny.
yeah. You know, something that I do see with ChatGPT a lot that I think needs to stop is people will just do like LinkedIn posts. You know, they'll just say like something real estate centric, and then they'll just post it on LinkedIn, and it'll be like a fake story, but it's got M dashes everywhere. It's got emojis everywhere. It's got the short, choppy sentences that ChatGPT is known for.
Yeah.
So, like, this is just all over my feed. Like, I'll follow real estate investors, and I'm like, you could at least like put in a little bit of effort to write this thing, because like I just have to scroll past that stuff because I'm like, they're literally copying and pasting it. They're not doing any of the work.
I wonder if normal people that don't use AI know that that's what that is.
I've been tempted to like ChatGPT question mark in the post, but I don't need to waste my time with doing that much.
I get it more on text, like a professional level texting. People are texting me back ChatGPT responses. I'm like,
Really?
why? It probably took you just as much time to like ask ChatGPT to text me back.
Yeah. We notice it also just in the, I would say the programming space as well. I was talking to some people about this, and I will never proclaim to be an expert, one, because I think that's super arrogant to just say you're an expert at something, but also I had to learn before AI was an option. And with a lot of the people that I've talked to that learned when they could use AI whenever they had a problem to just have AI solve said problem for them, I've noticed that their problem solving skills haven't really been as good. So they're just like, oh, well, if the AI can't get it, I can't get it because I never learned how to figure it out. Oh, that was you asking a question. I thought that was a question for you.
No.
But are you guys noticing in any of your fields where just the average newer person is having a lot of issues because they're so heavily reliant on AI?
Are you saying like in investors or in our daily work, or
just in like the work that you guys do on a day-to-day basis? So like it could be at your job, could be at your real estate brokerage, either one.
I'll start with my job. So kids obviously have found AI, and sometimes it's very funny because they don't have the prefrontal cortex to figure out that it's very noticeable that they used AI. And so some kids are trying to like use entire essays that ChatGPT made or create PowerPoints and copy pasting it. And I'm like, hey, people, that is not how. I'm all for you using your resources. But that's not how you use this one. Like, tell me what this means, and then they just can't even verbally say what they wrote. So it's just like, okay, that's very obvious, right? But if you want to use ChatGPT for your ideas or to even find what sources to go look for, that's fine. But we still have to cite the actual source. Google AI is not a source. I'm so sorry to tell you.
Yeah, like oral essays for all tests from now on.
Yeah.
Oh my. I do think that is something that. So do you teach them that, like, hey, you can't use AI like this, but I can show you how you can use it, and this is the way that you actually learn by using AI.
Yeah, this is a huge topic in our district at the moment because you have some like some teachers that are like, oh my gosh, why are we even opening the door for them to figure out what AI is? If some kids don't even know it, like why are we going to teach them how to cheat? And then you have people on the other end of the spectrum that kind of see where the world is headed, and it's like, okay, well, let's teach them on how to use the tools that they have available because they're going to use it regardless.
Mhm.
And so we actually just did a research project last week, and they asked, "Oh, can we use AI?" And I said, "Sure. Here are some ways that you could use it. Here are some ways that you shouldn't use it because if you even ask AI, it will tell you it's not always right." So just kind of being able to explain to them the nuances. Now they are 14 years old, so do they always understand the nuances? No, but at least you're trying to get them to see different views.
I would also think though that anybody that's against using AI in general, that's like saying the students can't use Google on a class project because essentially that's all it is. If you're using it like how I'm talking about using it or how you're talking about using it, is it's a resource to allocate all of the different sources faster so we can figure it out. Or if we don't know the definition of something, or if we don't know in the context to use a specific thing, like we can look that up. But if we just say, do my paper for me, like, no, you're getting an F.
Yeah, exactly.
No, that's good. What about you guys? Len, I imagine your job is a lot harder, and I would say Jack as well, for people to try to use AI to cheat.
Yeah, no, I don't experience that because I work with a lot of people who have mental health problems and they're like far less functioning than the majority of people. So I don't believe most of my peeps know what AI is. So I don't really incur that problem. I incurred it to like more of people like sending me letters or like requesting documents from me, and I'm like, this is clearly AI request. That's true. That's the only thing.
Oh,
I use
what about-
AI to help me troubleshoot different things and stuff, and help me think through problems. But for what I do, being not even trying to explain to AI some of the stuff I'm doing, it doesn't get it. You have to upload pictures and it's like the first thing it's going to say is complete garbage. That's why I automatically don't even let it finish posting the first thought, and I say no, try again, just instantly, because the first one's complete garbage.
I think part of that is how you write the prompts too and train the models, because you can actually train the models to be better at things. I'm going to just tie this into what TradeRedder was asking, what my favorite model is. I pay for Claude, which is by Anthropic. That is a really good one. I got it because they have this is going to be nerdy, but he's going to know what I mean. They have a CLI tool, and you can like plug it directly into your IDE for programming. All that means is like the thing that we code in, we can actually just have it directly involved in that. And I think that part is really useful. I also like Gemini. I think Gemini is a really good free one for people to use. You can get Gemini Pro. I've never needed it. I just don't like ChatGPT too much. I just find it's not the best model for like any of the things I want to do. I find Gemini works really well for a lot of things, and then Claude works really well for anything that's programming centric. So that's why I actually pay for Claude, and then Gemini, I just use the free version because there's literally no reason to pay.
Yeah, I second the Gemini one. I don't use it every day. Well, no, I don't use it for like my deep work or when I'm trying to work on a project or whatever. But it's great for short tasks because it syncs to your Google account. So if I'm driving or I'm doing stuff and I need to quickly set an appointment or give myself a task or reminder, I can just tell it really quick, hey, put this in my calendar, and it syncs it. I haven't found another AI that can do that part yet.
Yeah, no, and as a realtor, like for you, I would say that Gemini is really cool too, and like ChatGPT or any of them really, because like if you're going through and looking at the mechanicals on a property, just snap a picture of that label that they have on them, and because I know you have to search sometimes through the serial numbers and stuff on the thing to figure out which year it's all from. You just take pictures of the water heater, the furnace, and everything like that, and then just upload them and say what years are these from, and then it'll just give you that instead of having to like try to spend 5 minutes while you're sitting there. Just
Mhm.
bam, there you go. Um, I did see that Harrison asked about like, okay, so I guess open this one up. Would you have your own fine-tuned AI model to help you with your business at all, or for outsourcing simple questions?
I don't think I'm there to like needing a whole AI model to outsource everything in my business yet, but maybe next year.
What about you guys?
Maybe next year. Was that 2 weeks from now? No.
Ask me again.
I'll make like projects in like Gronk or Grok. So that way it's like all kind of in one house. I can say, okay, refer back to this. But as far as like public facing or interfacing with other people, I don't think I'm really there yet. No.
Jack, I'd imagine it's no for anything contracting related.
Actually, I'm working on trying to get it implemented because that way it can handle some of the first round questions and do basic troubleshooting and stuff. And a lot of times it could save me from having to go out onto a job site without. So, um, Jacek or Jacek, who was at the Pittsburgh meetup, who was one of the speakers, he was talking about AI. I'm trying to implement something like what he was talking about during the meetup in my business to try and help people do like minor troubleshooting and just getting to the next step so that when they finally do get to me, it's a way more streamlined process. Like, hey, I tried this. I don't understand this, but
Mhm.
and that way it's way more streamlined, it's way more productive, and it that's kind of what I'm working on because I don't know, it's like it's going to cost a little bit more in the upfront, but I think in the long run it's going to be cheaper than a VA.
Mhm.
But that's just my opinion. I could be completely wrong with that. A VA is something else I've been tossing around as well.
Yeah, no, they can be helpful. You do have to do a lot of education with VAs. One issue that I see a lot of people that hire VAs run into is they don't do enough documentation on the actual process. So, like, they'll just want to hand something to them and say, do this, but that's not generally how a lot of them are trained to work. You need to have like the exact procedures written out for them to do, and it's for some of those repetitive tasks. Now, I know some of those can be outsourced to AI now, but there's other roles that can't as easily.
This is exactly what I'm going to use AI for, is because I have a person that is going to start cold calling for me,
Mhm.
and we set up the structure that way they only get paid if a deal closes. Because I said, hey man, I don't got a lot of extra cash at the moment, but if this is something that you're interested in, this is how we can set up the pay. So we set up the pay, and but he's like, hey, I have never done real estate before, and so I'm gonna make him a script. I'm gonna make him like, okay, this is how if you set an appointment, this is how you're gonna put it in my calendar, right? And then this is how we're going to do our CRM. So I'm kind of having to figure all this out at the moment. The good news is he doesn't want to start until the new year, so I have I have a little bit of time to make these systems. But this is exactly a challenge that I'm going to have.
So you're
No,
concentrating a lot on seller finance for this next deal that you're.
Yeah, so for this deal I'm working on right now, the seller's thinking he wants to do like a lease option, which that can work. I'm not sure why. Which is when we have our meeting in the new year, he doesn't want to meet until January. But once we meet, I have to figure out why he wants the lease option. But yes, so I'm looking more for creative type deals.
You don't have to pay taxes on a lease option. It's not a sole as transfer of ownership. So
True, but if we did cellular finance with interest only, he also wouldn't have to pay taxes.
yeah, but then that transfer of ownership happens. So
Yeah.
it's less secure for him.
Yep.
But
So
less secure for you now. There is a lease option.
yeah, right. So there's pros and cons, and we're not sure what the price point is or what the terms are exactly yet. But I look forward to sharing those out once we kind of get through the first part of the negotiating.
You could always do a land contract. I mean, I don't particularly like those, but
It's better than a lease option, though.
yeah. I mean, it's seller finance, but it's not a seller carryback. They still keep title.
Mm-hmm.
You just have equitable title.
Yeah.
Lynn, you got a question. Would you use AI for your Airbnb ADU?
So I do midterm right now. I haven't done an Airbnb. So maybe when I do Airbnb, but so far midterm working out for me.
I'll just circle back to the previous question too. I use AI a ton. A lot of it is centered around learning. Like if I'm trying to learn something new that's programming related, I will just repeatedly ask it questions, or just like I'll have it build projects for me to test certain things against that I'm trying to learn. Like I was learning this new way of writing tests, like a framework for writing tests. So I just had to build like a simple calculator application and just like wrote the tests for that to learn. So it's really good. Also, when you use Claude, it should, when you give it access to your GitHub, it should have all of that. So it technically like will create its own model around everything that you've already written. And you could say that's a good or a bad thing, but it does train on what you write. So I mean, you can use it to make your job a lot faster.
So we should change the name of the YouTube video to like, how can you use AI to make your life better? Instead, follow your passion. AI.
Follow your passion to use AI.
And shout out Ray for hopping on. He said the title got his attention.
Yeah, Ray. So we're essentially just saying the blanket statement of like telling people to follow their passion just doesn't make as much sense, because sometimes things that people can be passionate about, there's not a market for, or there's not as much of a market for. Whereas like if you're really passionate about shooting photos for people's houses that they want to sell, that's got a market. There's a lot of agents that want to pay you to create really good photos to sell those houses faster because they get paid faster. But if your market is like, I don't know, basket weaving or something like that, I feel like that's a little bit more niche.
No, I think Ray would probably be a great guy to have on in the future to talk about this topic, because he's obviously very good at with what he does, and he's kind of niched down to now where he's doing super cool Airbnbs, flying all around, and so all just from the passion of photography,
Yeah, he is a case of doing what you're passionate about pays off really well.
Yeah.
He was actually telling me like what you can charge for some of these Airbnb photography things when you're like an expert level photographer, and oh my gosh, it is insane. But do y'all have anything else on the topic of following your passion or AI? We might have to like split the title.
I think that for us is like very much said that you need to make yourself financially stable before you even try about following your passion. But I think for your guys' kids, like the future generation is going to come from you, do you think you will put just as much emphasis on be financially secure, or would you just like, because I feel like when one becomes a parent, they just like want to set up your children for the best, and that may include they don't have to work for financial security because you guys are going to provide for that, but you're going to encourage them to like be a musician in Broadway because that's what their dream is.
No. Even if I would say, I forget who had said it. I want to say it was like Shaq or somebody like talking to their kids. They were like, "No, I'm rich. We're not rich." But I think giving them everything is actually the problem. I think there needs to be some sort of suffering somewhere, whether that's you know what I mean. Like they need to actually work for a lot of the things that they get, because if they don't, then they're going to constantly be a waiter, or they constantly need things from you, or they need you to support them because they were never forced to become self-sufficient. That's what I think. Everybody that, you're on the journey to financial independence, there's going to be a point in time, if you're having kids, where you will likely have a ton of money and they're going to want a lot of things and they're going to expect things of you, and you need to be very careful about how you give them certain things or how they earn certain things, because they can become just not an awesome person to be around if they're always expecting things from their parents and not wanting to work hard for anything.
Yeah, this is a great talk, but I'm seeing some bears talk from some heckler in the chat. So I think we got to end it here. We can blame the financial firefighters for that.
Oh my.
On the same line, there's a lot of real estate investors that I see that are building their real estate empire to pass it down to their children, even though their children may never want to even look at a rental in their lives. How do you guys feel about that?
I assume I will just have enough to where one of them will like it, and then one of them gets to deal with that. You know what I'm saying? I get it though. Whether they just end up selling them all off and just having money to manage, I think either way, whether they want their kids to have that or not, they're going to have to train them to be good with wealth. So I think part of that is they need to go through the experience of actually working hard for money so they can appreciate it, because you don't want to just hand like I don't know, if I imagine like 30 years from now, I couldn't imagine if I just gave somebody that was my age like a massive portfolio to manage and just said, here you go, have fun with it. You know what I mean? Like they got to learn along the way. I think there's a right way to do it, but yeah, I mean, I buy properties from some of these people. Like the guy that I bought my apartment building from, his kids, he had multiple kids that could have bought it. They didn't want anything to do with apartments.
Mm-hmm.
So he just sold it to me instead. What do you guys think?
Remind me of the question. It was like, don't spoil in your kids or something like that.
It was more of like, if you're building all of these things, like Dylan and you, like you're gonna have multiple properties by the time that you have children.
Mm-hmm.
I assume, or there's a lot of people that do expect their children to carry on like the family business, like the rentals, right? Like you are ready to pass on the torch, but then your kids may carry the torch or may like choose never to even look at your rentals.
Yeah, I think expectations can be hurtful.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you put that on them from birth, you are going to carry the family name and the family, properties or whatever. I think sometimes that can actually put kids off, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where if it's more of exploratory, they're there, right? Because you're taking them everywhere. Then kind of let them decide. Now, you obviously want to build it to a point where you can easily hand it off if that's what they so choose. But I also don't think it's a parent's decision, because what happens if you have multiple kids, and then what does that one kid get control of the whole empire, or are you going to sell everything off and then separately do it? That'd probably be the most fair way.
Yeah, Dylan wants to have like 6 children, so
wow.
3 or 4. No, so the way that I looked at this is the way the DuPont family does it is they have one that gets they get a large portion of the wealth and the assets to manage, and then all of the other kids get enough money to where they would never have to work again. But they just give the most what they deem as the most responsible one, from what I understand, the essentially all the businesses in the portfolio to manage, and that just passes on to the next generation. I don't really care. I could end up blowing all the money and then giving them nothing. So
No,
I might.
I just look at my family and I was like, we're 4 children, 2 boys, 2 girls, and there's no where tangible we can come to an agreement, and we don't have anything to like manage or anything, but we definitely have a different vision than our parents did, and that's why I'm like, you guys are planning for this like massive passing of wealth, but it might not turn out like you want it, and that's the reality you should be preparing for as well. Your children are they're independent human beings, and they may choose to do maybe entrepreneurship, maybe open a company, and that's what they're passionate about, or like they end up doing, and it has nothing to do with your.
Yeah, no, that's perfectly fine. That's what I was saying. I might end up spending it all or giving it away.
Yeah. What are you like looking forward to the most in Vegas?
I'll go last.
I'm looking around for the foolishness. The first few days. I know that we got buffets planned. We got Denny's planned. All of that stuff is really why I go down there. And then for the event itself, hearing stories that are relatable, and of people that are further along than I. I wasn't quite expecting that the last time, as of how you go to some events and you hear people's stories. You're like, wow, okay, well, I can't relate to that at all, right? Like that's great for you, but there's nothing there. Whereas a lot of the people in our community that go to the event, very relatable, even though they might be a few steps ahead.
Yeah, I think that's my favorite part. Talking to the people that are just everybody. I would say almost everybody's portfolio level is within within reach of each other. It's it's all within a few million of portfolio size. Now there's some people that are just ridiculous, but like I feel like what most of us have going on, somebody else can look at that and say, oh, that's achievable, which I think helps a lot to the newer people that we have coming, is they'll look at, Curtis, me and you have only been investing for like, what, 2 or 3 years. Lynn, how long have you been investing?
3 years now.
Yeah, so 3 years. And Jack, how long have you been investing?
5, I think 5, maybe 7.
Yeah.
I forget when we bought the first one.
So none of us have been investing for over a decade. So nothing is insanely complex compared to what somebody starting out could do. Like if the only person you had to talk to was a Dion or a Zuber or Matt, for example, what they are looking at is going to be substantially different than what we would be looking at to do. It's just, they've reached a different scale than we're at.
6, 7.
6, 7. 6 to 7. Oh, I get it.
5 to 7. He said 5 to 7.
Gosh. I did see that Yask said kids tend to do the opposite of what their parents want. Yeah, I agree with that one. But I don't know. I would just say they just grow up around it and see what kind of lifestyle it can afford. And then if they want to do that, cool. If not, have fun doing something else. There's plenty of ways to make money. Just like what you do. But don't follow your passion for this.
I'm just about to get you.
Yeah, be passionate about something that makes money. I've always said I could be a garbage man if it paid really well. I don't care.
It does well, actually.
It does.
Here.
Waste management does very well.
Yeah, 6 figures, definitely.
Oh, wow. I don't think here. That's awesome.
Okay, guys, do you think this is a good place to stop?
Yeah, thanks for having me infiltrate the Midwest talk here. Nothing about
Infiltrate.
Midwest about me, except I like potatoes maybe, but that's probably about it.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being here, everybody.
Yeah, we'll see you next week.